I was new in town, looking for a place to grab a late-night bite. It was around midnight when I stumbled upon this old-fashioned diner called Mabel's. The neon sign flickered, casting an eerie glow over the parking lot. I hesitated for a moment, but my stomach growled in protest, so I decided to go in. The place was nearly empty, except for a lone waitress behind the counter and an elderly man sitting at a booth in the corner. The waitress, Mabel, greeted me with a tired smile and handed me a menu. I ordered a burger and a coffee, then took a seat by the window. As I waited, I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched. I glanced around, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The old man in the corner was reading a newspaper, and Mabel was busy behind the counter. When my food arrived, I dug in. The burger was surprisingly good, but the coffee tasted off, like it had been sitting on the burner all day. I shrugged it off and kept eating. After a while, the old man stood up and walked past my table. He stopped for a moment and said, "You're new here, aren't you?" I nodded, trying to be polite. "Yeah, just moved in a few days ago." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Be careful around here. This town has its secrets." Before I could ask what he meant, he walked out of the diner, leaving me with a sense of unease. I finished my meal, paid the bill, and left. The next day I was telling my coworker about my late-night adventure. When I mentioned Mabel's Diner, his face went pale. "Mabel's? That place has been closed for years. It burned down in a fire a long time ago. They say it's haunted." I laughed it off, thinking he was pulling my leg. But curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to drive by the diner after work. When I arrived, my blood ran cold. The building was a charred, abandoned ruin, just as my coworker had said. I couldn't believe it. I had been there just the night before, eating a burger and talking to a waitress named Mabel. I walked around the building trying to make sense of it all. That's when I saw the old man's newspaper, lying in the ashes. The date on it was from the night of the fire, over 30 years ago. To this day, I don't know what really happened that night. But I haven't been back to Mabel's, and I never will. Some secrets are better left undiscovered.